Before we get started, I want you to turn to the person next to you and just put your arms around and give them a big hug and say well done for me. Me, I want one. I think it's worth pointing out that the two speakers before me did it without any papers. I've got my papers here just to remind me, because quite often when I've been talking like this, I've been just talking like a unicorn up there, and it will take all my attention away. So, just in case. But it's always good to know a little bit about someone's history before you start your talk. And I'm going to introduce you to the Bents. That's my family. We are so super tight. They're absolutely frigging bonkers. If you get us at any sort of party, it absolutely just rips up. For example, like my mum, top up there, at Christmas time, she bought onesies for every single one of us. And we all put our onesies on, they went out for a run all around their local village and down the way and everything. And we do that every single Christmas. They're all super duper fit. We all ran the London Marathon a few years ago. Who would like to guess, so it's me and my two sisters, my mum and my dad, who would like to guess who posted the fastest time? You. My mum. It's great. At 58, I think she was 58, maybe 59, she posted a 3:30 marathon, so it's pretty great. I had a little bit of a bad day that day. But my story is just like every other adventurer's really, same as Colin really. Finished university, got into work that was absolutely frigging miserable. I used to get the train to work, I'd be crying on the train, sometimes I'd cry on my desk. It was just, it wasn't so much like the work was so bad, it's just like, is this all that's left for the next kind of, you're 20, 21 years old at that point, you're going to be working for another 40, 50 years, like, is this my everyday from then onwards? And especially, like, the thing that really blew me away was that, like, us human beings are totally and utterly unique. Our DNA is unique, we can be identified by our irises, we can be identified by our unique heart murmur and our fingerprints. And like, how on earth can you create this uniqueness and then just stick it in a box and ask it to do exactly the same thing as the unique individual besides it? That kind of blew my mind. And for every single adventurer, I would assume Colin and Laura probably have their moment as well. And there is that moment when every single thing changes. And this is really poor. I copied this from a video because I was going to show you a video, but it just took too long. So to kind of deal with this kind of boredom of being at work, I used to I would do lots and lots of training. I was competing for Great Britain at triathlon. This is actually on one of our training rides up in the Alps in Nice. We were going up Col d'Ez, and I just clicked the wheel of the person in front, and it flipped me to the right hand side, and unfortunately, to the right-hand side was a sheer cliff. And it's a real shame this looks so poor here, but basically I landed just there amongst those rocks. I landed slightly on a little bush that pierced both my buttocks. But this cliff was probably twice as high as this building, and this roof here. And I've had friends that have fallen off their bikes, they've broken hip bones, they've broken collarbones just toppling off. And here I was lying at the bottom of this cliff, completely paralysed, arms, legs, everything. And then suddenly you get a feeling back in your legs and you can start wiggling your toes and it rushes down your arms and then it comes back into your voice box. And my friends were all at the top there, kind of, what the hell are we doing now? Like, how do we get Dan's body out from the bottom of the cliff? And I kind of look back up at them and I'm like, I think I'm alive! And it's actually very, very true that moment I was probably more alive than I'd been ever since I'd left university. In that something triggered in my head and I was just like, my mum and dad, my family have been so supportive, they've given everything, they were just two teachers, they gave their whole lives towards kids basically. How can I receive so much and actually give back so little? Really all I was doing was taking money off people. And I'm going to quickly whiz through like the two biggest adventures that the two biggest adventures that I, unicorn stay. The two biggest adventures I got involved with were a cycle to India from London. I actually firstly went to become a junior school teacher, and I was teaching the children about this village in India, and I inspired myself more than I did then. And decided I was going to go there, and my dream since I was 11 years old was to cycle around the world and raise money for charity, and so that's what I did. Raised a load of money for the village that I was going to and for the people within the slums and things that I was seeing along the way. amazing, amazing adventure. Just like Colin, you could talk for forever about it. And sorry, I'm going to go back to that. And after I finished the ride, because I was dyslexic, and when I was a teacher, I used to make things as exciting as they possibly could be, because I found it so hard at school, because it was just all copying down off the board, repeating into your book, and then repeating again in the exams. And that really was not what I wanted to do. I was teaching 7-year-olds, and we would, I'd bring in all my camping gear, and we'd climb Everest during geography, or we would, I'd bring in all my climbing gear, and we'd climb the trees, and I mean, I used to get in a lot of trouble. The book's actually called "You've Gone Too Far This Time, Sir." That's what the kids used to say to me before the headmistress bustled in and wondered what all the commotion was about. So anyway, I wrote a book about it, and as a dyslexic kid, with red pen all over your books, when you're actually at school, to then decide you're going to write a book, and then it actually went on to be a bestseller. It's won awards, and at that point, I realised that that's been my biggest fear. I kind of thought I was not able at all at writing, and even my reading, my spelling, my grammar, all that stuff. And it's still, I was going to bring some books, and I was going to say to you that if you come up to me and ask me to sign it, just beware there's going to be spelling mistakes, because I'm absolutely atrocious. But that really doesn't matter when you're trying to write a book. Anyway, after that, you realise everything is possible after that. And the bombs went off in Boston at the marathon, and lots of people died, people lost their legs. And as a runner, I took that as a kind of personal attack, and organised this thing that we called One Run for Boston. And 7 weeks after the bombing, we had organised for this baton that lady's holding here to be carried all the way from LA to Boston. This last stage here, this is actually crossing the Boston finishing line here. And you can see there's about 1,000 people signed up for that last stage. This baton just moved continuously for 23 days, crossing America, 3,328 miles. And this lady actually was one of the ladies who's got prosthetic limbs where they've been replaced and everything like this. We raised $550,000 doing that. Completely amazing to raise over $500,000 when we thought we were maybe going to raise £20,000 or £30,000 for the people. So yes, and when you're doing all these adventures, you actually, it's just like Colin was saying, it's so intoxicating, it's so fun, and you just want to do it over and over and over again. But at the same time, it's actually just like fun at the very top level like this. What's underneath there, you don't have any stability. I lose contact with my family, who are the most important people in my life. You end up kind of losing that friendship group. You just have people dotted all over the world, and that's kind of, that ends up not being complete proper friendship. You may meet up and it's as though you've been with each other forever, but you don't have that person you can say, can you just go down the pub, let's just deal with this thing that we're dealing with together. And so I decided I was going to come back, and basically I'd spend, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years, never more than 3 months in any one place. And I decided I was going to come back to the UK. I was going to move back to London, and I was going to try and find those other levels, the stability, the family, the friends, like get that sorted, and then build this. And then, I said I was only going to do it if I could bring the things I loved about adventure back with me. So, I'm a mathematician. So I created a Venn diagram. I'm really impressed that I remembered the Venn diagram, because I knew I was going to forget I'd have it written down on there. And I just thought, what do I love about adventure? There's the adrenaline. There's you're continuously learning. There's the people you meet. This sensory overload you get when you're on these adventures. And there's this now, being in the present. And I'm going to quickly talk you through a few things that kind of happened on the trip that kind of illustrate these things, and then how I try to bring them back into my own life. So, adrenaline. Whether that is you whizzing down the other side of the Karakoram Highway on the Pakistani side with that ice all around you, legs like this, kind of screaming with all your might at the beauty that you're kind of getting, knowing that you're actually going into Pakistan where there is, they've just declared war with Afghanistan, and you don't really know what the hell's going on. Or whether you wake up in the morning and you turn to the mirror as you kind of go back and go into the toilet, and this is in India, you look in the mirror and you look as though you've aged overnight, and your beard's gone completely and utterly white, and you kind of stop, you kind of come back, you look a little bit closer, and you see that there's maggots all in your beard, where you've slept above a rotten beam, and they've just been dropping on your face the whole night. And then this is kind of an illustration someone did of, I was just kind of minding my own business, and then this guy jumps out, kind of a Russian militia kind of guy, rams his AK-47 against my forehead and starts shouting Russian at me. And these sound like really weird things to want to bring back to the UK, like the maggots and the guns, especially. But one of the biggest things I learned, which has absolutely nothing to do with my talk at all, is to start looking at life like a journalist. So every experience is just an experience, and in that case, it can be a good experience. So when this gun, I've got that metal pushed against my forehead, I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm shitting myself. 80% is, oh God, I might shit myself. 10% is, what's my mum gonna say? But there's like 1% just there in the back of my head that's going, this is gonna make a fucking awesome blog post. So you can always... So, like, if you take nothing else from this talk, just take that every single thing that happens to you, whether it's your girlfriend's blowing up with you, whether it's breaking your leg in some sort of horrendous accident, there's always one little thing that you can say, this is going to change and make this better. And that's something you should... Oh, sorry, yes. So I want to bring this forward. And adrenaline, how do you bring it into your life? And basically, adrenaline comes when you're feared. You've got fear. So I was trying to... I mean, I can't really do it every day because I don't actually have that many fears. This is really, really easy for me. And I do it through sports. And I like pushing myself as hard as I possibly can. Taking on new challenges. We did like flying trapeze, doing things like rollerblading. Greg's made me do that and fall over and tear my hands up and stuff like this. But that's all really, really groovy. But the biggest thing for everyone, like generally people do have fears, and the best way to get your adrenaline fix is to like see those fears, like that wall here, which is your fear, and then just walk through it, and then it's like boom, adrenaline, and then it feels like you can achieve anything. That's kind of superhuman standards. And so even if that is talking to someone on the tube, or anything that's like, you want to do it, but everything else, societal, your own mind is saying don't do it, I would just say bloody go and do it. And then as soon as you start doing that, those fears, you break down one wall and you think, well, maybe that wall's just as easy. And then you're like, oh, that wall doesn't exist either. And then by the time you got to this side, you've actually got no fears, which is pretty incredible way to be. And that's kind of how I've kind of found myself almost now. The other thing, learning. It's so incredible to be going through places, to be learning languages as you go. I mean, the cycle ride to India, passed through 14 different countries, kind of picked up Russian to a fairly decent level along the way. And it's to go and speak to an Indian child, a street child who comes into your face here and just talking to you, or, even just staring at you. And for you to be able to go like, Kaise ho, aapka naam kya hai? How are you? What's your name? Their eyes just go like this, and you've completely and utterly made their day. And they cannot believe that this white guy is talking to them in that manner. And in that sense, it actually all comes back to you. You've had your learning, and now you're getting the adrenaline hit from that person being completely blown away by your presence. And obviously, like, learning keeps you young. Going across America, I thought America was either LA or New York. I thought they joined somewhere in the middle, in a place called Oklahoma. I know that was the bombings. But to go through America and kind of realise there's all these kind of absolutely incredible archers and barren lands and absolutely frigging mental people within the middle. You kind of learn those things. And so, like, I've come back and I'm trying to learn. So I'm kind of trying to continue to learn. So whether it's through reading, whether it's through practicing languages, go to a restaurant. If you're going to an Eritrean restaurant, try and learn a little bit of Eritrean, so you can go up to the person there and say whatever it is. Sorry, and then that generally leads to you getting given free stuff. They have a great time, which means you have a great time. Eat with your hands. Get all these experiences in. Like keep learning. And London's incredible. If you can dream it, it's here in London, basically. Whatever it is in your head, you can do it. And you're going to find people who you can do it with if you just kind of start expressing yourself. And the most interesting people of all, I tend to find, especially when I was working in the offices, was to go into, when I would go into the office, this is kind of 10 years ago or so, and I would talk to the security guards and the cleaners about their weekends and about what's going on in their lives, and that tends to be a hell of a lot more interesting than the stuff that's going on with your colleagues' lives. It generally rotates around Friday night, and that is absolutely it. So keep the learning going. I've been talking to people. This is actually where I got, what is that one? where I got invited to, there was a coming of age party, I was cycling along, you kind of knocked, rugby tackled off your bike, dragged into this procession, they kind of carry your bike with you, and there's coming of age party, and I spent the whole night drinking and eating with these people in Kazakhstan. The story I actually want to tell you about was in Uzbekistan. I'd been cycling all day, really, really horrendous stomach, a really, really strong headwind, so you're probably going about 4 or 5 kilometers an hour, trying to fight this headwind. And I've got bad stomach. Every 30 minutes, I had to go to the loo, but there's absolutely nothing to hide behind. There's like tumbleweed, so you can kind of squat behind some tumbleweed, and then it blows off, and you're like, well. And with these strong winds comes strong sound winds, and so by the time you're getting back up onto the bike, you're basically sitting on sandpaper straight to your skin. And I got to this little village, and basically anywhere from, I guess, Turkey onwards, everyone wants to stares at you when as soon as you stop, because you're such a new thing for them to see. And all these people were around me, and it was in Uzbekistan. They can't have sex before marriage, so they were saying to me, "How old are you?" I say 30. "What? Are you married?" And I say no. They said, "Where's your wife?" "I'm not married." And then I managed to actually pick up enough Russian, because this is exactly what they asked me in Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. It kind of just, this conversation was the only conversation they could have. And it just went on, like, "Where is your wife? Have you got a wife? How old are you?" Just repeat it, and then the end was like, "I haven't got a wife!" And maybe that's like something deep-seated within my mind. But, unicorns again. So anyway, and then they all went away. They were kind of sitting around their table, and I sat down, and I was trying to put some food inside me, and you could still, they were still talking, they were still looking at you, and they just still couldn't believe it. And eventually, this one very, very small, very, very skinny guy comes up, and he squats beside me, and he looks at me, and he says, in English, really, really good English, "Do you have a penis?" They just couldn't believe that you wouldn't have a wife, and so that was more plausible that I did have a penis. And these kind of interactions just happen every single day when you're away. They're like at least once, if not twice, 3 times, 4 times. So this is again, and I've said it on nearly every single one of these things, and I will say on every single one, is you just got to talk to people. There are so many. London is the most incredible place in the whole world. Like, it is basically the whole world squished down and squashed into a 1-mile radius. There is, so you can meet anyone, any type of people. But within that, we're such a successful, we should be so proud of being in London. And the success that London has, people are kind of getting rid of all their investments in Europe, they're bringing it over to London because we're like a stable market for them. And what an example London is of all these people, Muslims, Jews, Christians, all working together as one team, really, really thriving, successful city. I think it's such a great thing in that manner. So senses. You go into these places, you're blown away by their senses, especially India. This is actually on the Karakoram Highway, the Pakistani side. My mum and dad came out to see me there, and we were sitting just about here, having a cup of tea from this little shack with this view, this vista in the background. And but I've probably been to 50 odd countries in my life, and fairly varied ones. And I still think that the UK is one of the most beautiful places you can go to. And we can be down in Devon kayaking, or we can be up in Scotland. We went to Scotland. We ran across the Isle of Skye. There's all sorts of amazing little kind of diamonds within these green isles. Can we do that? Is that island? I don't know. And as well as this, there is within 5 hours we can fly to Asia. We can get to Europe, obviously. We can fly to America. I did a day trip to Marrakesh. So I did a day trip to Africa. Well, I went in, 24 hours later I flew back out again. It was 4 hours in, 4 hours back out, but the flights were cheap. And that trip had absolutely all this stuff. It had all the sensory bits, it had meeting loads of crazy people, and it had you learning about Marrakesh's culture, and the first one is adrenaline, and you can't go to Marrakesh and not feel any adrenaline because it's frigging mental. Now, the other thing is that when you're in London, this is the other thing we shouldn't forget. I'm going to rant about London because I freaking love it. Is like when you're on the way to work, just bring yourself like away from the meeting that you've got coming on, away from the argument you had with the missus on this morning. Just center yourself right here and now as you're walking down the street, and look at the people around you. There's like some pretty exceptional people that are going to be around you. Look at the buildings, the architecture here. There's buildings in London that in any other that aren't even on the tourist trail, that in any other city would be the highlight of the tourist trail. It's the most incredible city, but most of us kind of spend our time like within our minds, kind of blankly going through life. And if you just kind of flip it like that and bring yourself into the now, which brings me to my next thing, which is travelling, bringing yourself into the now. It's almost impossible for it not to happen. You've got these long winding roads, you're cycling down them slowly. There is no social media to kind of clog your brain up with absolute load of bullshit. There isn't like the societal norms, like society here, what the hell is that? And so that just falls away. And then what your mum and dad think you should be doing, what your friends think you should be doing, it just all falls away. And you're just left with this person, which is you. And that you is the absolute best you could be. Not striving for something that your parents want you to do, or striving for what you think your friends want to see you as. And that feeling, that's basically utopia. You are absolutely in like the best possible place you possibly could be. And that is the one that I find really, really, really hard to bring back to London. Because of social media, and my pledge there when I came to the Anna talk on Thursday is to cut down on social media, start my training again, because I've basically been spending all my time on the computer trying to make magic happen. And I quit the job in the city, getting paid loads. I didn't quit it to go and sit at a computer and get paid bugger all. That's completely and utterly ridiculous. So cutting down on that, then and doing my training and just kind of getting out there and enjoying life, and my reading as well, which has gone down. So I'm going to quickly introduce you to 4 different. Hold on. Good. Yes. But switching off social media is so key. Definitely when I was living in America, there are people living their lives so they can put it onto social media. Like, that is the forefront of their life, rather than social media just following your own life. And I know we're all like a little bit guilty of that at all times. So I've now started switching my social media on for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at lunch, 1 hour in the evening. I get just as much done. It just means I don't like and comment on every post at exactly the same moment they've posted. It's absolutely no different. So I'm going to introduce you to 4 different kind of groups of people who can. Because really what I'm trying to say is you don't have to go on a mega big adventure. Like, you can have your own adventure and your own self-discovery in this very city, or within the UK, or within Europe. Say Yes More up here is Dave Cornthwaite's his company, where he's just encouraging people to say yes more. He also takes people out onto small adventures just for 1 or 2 days. And it's just, like, if you want some adventure and you want to get an introduction to adventure, these are the people to go with, basically. We've got Exerg, who's Annie Ross, a friend who's doing 52 challenges in 52 weeks. It's her that introduced me to trapeze, to kayak, to bloody rollerblading. And it's just an incredible thing. She works at Deutsche Bank, but she's still got time to do 52 challenges in 52 weeks. So she works kind of 12, 14 hours a day, whatever she's doing. This is Alistair Humphrey. He is the man behind Micro Adventures. He's the guy that kind of set it all up. His Micro Adventures are frigging amazing. He's got a book. You can just go and just like repeat whatever he's doing. Just go out onto a hill, sit under the stars, leave your phone at home, enjoy your life. It's absolutely amazing. The last one up there with absolutely shit quality. That's me. So Project Awesome is my free fitness movement that is happening in the mornings on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's completely and utterly wacky, loud, colourful, slightly obnoxious. It hits all of the targets that I set myself. And this is what I set up when I came back home, basically. It's my little project to keep my brain kind of going over. So we're working out frigging hard. We get adrenaline. We also get adrenaline when the police show up. Every single time you show up, there are new people to meet. Like, I don't know, we've got 10 or so people in, well, maybe more, like 15, 20 people in this room right now who are coming from Project Awesome, just to kind of, because everyone's supporting each other, and it's just the most amazing community. Learning happens in the cafe afterwards. the people who come and get up at 5:30 to be working out at 6:30 are exceptional people. And in the cafe, the conversations are insane. And I'm going to give you a few examples of those in a minute. But fourth thing, what was my fourth thing?
Now.
Places. We always work out in like iconic places around London, and it's super cool. You're kind of like, I'm actually looking out all the time for places we can work out, and like little nooks and crannies, which is super duper awesome. And the other one is the power of now. And for some reason, within this community, this has started happening, that this is 1 hour, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where people are allowed, and I don't even know why this has happened, but people are allowed, amongst everyone, to be themselves, absolutely 100% and purely. Like, who cares whether you're a fucking nut job? Just be yourself, and people are going to celebrate you for it, which is absolutely insanely cool. And it makes me so utterly proud. Like sometimes I will do a talk like this about this kind of thing that's going on, or even I'm talking to a journalist or something. It makes me so proud that there's a group, a community that allow people to be themselves, because society really does my head in, especially when it starts influencing people's lives for the negative, and I find it really, really terrible. I'm just going to quickly pop on to the cafe again, which is, these are people, Taryn and Ollie. They met at the cafe after Project Awesome, pumped up with adrenaline, hungry to meet people. Now they're kayaking down the Amazon together. So they're halfway down the Amazon. Renee here, she popped along to Project Awesome. She was going back to New Zealand. Now she's cycling back to New Zealand. In fact, I actually want to jump in with someone else who came and said he's a bit bored of his job, he just quit, he doesn't know what he wants to do. But the co-leader, Anna, of Project Awesome, she gave him her bike, because she's done loads of cycle touring, gave him all the equipment, and now he's halfway down Ireland. It's utterly amazing. And Susie, she has suffered with a lot of depression, cycling with Project Awesome. Now she's in Australia, cycling across the whole of Australia. It's such and this has absolutely nothing to do with me. It's all to do with the people that are turning up and the way they're being. It's absolutely insane. And I'm going to finally finish with this stability. Like, I know I've done so many talks where I talk to people and I say, quit your job, go out, enjoy yourself, go on adventures. It's fucking awesome. It's going to be the best thing you ever do. But that's not a lifetime thing. That's like a one-off, 2 off, 3 off, maybe 4 or something. But that is incredible. But life is incredible. And life is so worth living. And you can push it and push it and push it, and it gets better every single day. And by being stationary and getting this grounding and having friends around me again, having my family, things have started to happen that I was kind of hoping adventures would do. So like Google contacted me. Initially they were talking about being the face of Google, advertising. That hasn't come to pass, but if I hadn't been here, that wouldn't have happened. And then I was asked to go on a TV show for the strongest and fittest people in the UK, which is a whole load of rubbish. But I thought, well, I'm not, but I'm going to enter anyway. And then I ended up getting onto the show, and that is going to be aired a week on Sunday. I wanted to finish on this, but I've kind of missed things off. And so people have contacted us, so the City of London have said, you're one of the 50 most inspirational people in London, like bring you into this like fold. This is like, and the Independent voted me the 100 happiest people in the UK. It's fucking insane, and none of this would have happened if I'd gone on another adventure. So, stability, family, friends, it's so important. Networking, come to Project Awesome basically, that's the most important thing. And it's free, like I'm not going to make anything of it, I just know it's going to make something of you, which is the most important line. Done.
Love the logo.
Isn't it great? Yeah. This is what happens when you come to Project Awesome. People are helping each other. This logo, I asked Anne-Laure to do it because Anne-Laure is the most, who talked first. Down there. Yeah, she's the most incredible frigging artist. Sit down for 5 minutes with a paper and pen, it's like, and she'd had this whole thing done. It is insane. And I asked her to design my logo. So this isn't for me because I'm more a kind of fine drawer. And but she hooked me with someone else. Someone's done this for free, hooked up all my stuff, been kind of hoping that the TV show's stuff's going to happen. And but this isn't just happening to me as the leader of Project Awesome. This is happening to everyone within it. It's like everyone is built. It's like one of those things where you put the dots, and then you put a line to every single one, and then do all that, and it looks beautiful. And that's exactly what's happening. Any questions? Good. Let's drink beer.
Round of applause, thank Ben.